Okay, so this is the new Dominix, and I'm going to show off the bouncer drones. So we've got this Dominix fitted with some omnidirectionals, and that puts its optimal range at, let's see if we can find it, 167 kilometers. So these guys can shoot pretty far. Alright, so these are bouncers. They do explosive damage, so they're going to be really good for this hound. Also, we have another new module. So this one is the Reactive Armor Hardener. It gives 15% resist without stacking bonuses to all the damage types. And we're going to see it actually change those resists as we go. So the hound is actually going to fire on the Dominix. Alright, so we're taking damage here. And these resists are not going to change until we get into armor. So once we get into armor, they're going to slowly change. Now, the other new module that we're going to demonstrate is the large Microjump drive. Requires a very special skill, which I'll show you. Requires the Microjump drive operation. Okay, so every time you train this up, it'll reduce the amount of time taken to actually get into this Microjump by 5%. Okay, so we're starting to take damage in the armor. So once we cycle again, it's going to start adjusting. So you can see the resists have adjusted a little bit. So mostly in the explosive it looks like. And the next time it cycles, it should adjust again to 51%. So you can see all 60%, basically 15 times 4, all 60% is now being put into explosive because that's what these missiles are doing. Okay, so we'll stop the punishment here and demonstrate the large Microjump drive. Okay, so basically whichever direction that you're pointed, large Microjump drive is going to make you go 100 kilometers in that direction, and you're going to retain your speed. Now, we've got each other locked up, as you can see. The hound has locked me up, I locked it up, and I just wanted to show you the final resist with 60% on explosive. You can tell that it's a bit stronger. It's at 77%. Okay, so let's see, which direction do we want to go? Let's see, there's the hound. I might as well go down. So what we're going to do now is activate this at our current speed while we're going down. Okay, so here, this is what it's like. Okay, so we activate it, and it can only activate once in 3 minutes. And it takes a few minutes, about 12 seconds. And then, boom, 100 kilometers further, going at the same speed, but we don't have the hound locked up. The hound doesn't have us locked up. Now, is it because it's too far? Maybe, right? So what's a good way to tell that? Well, locking range. I actually wish I kept the locking range. I could show you how that works. But as you can tell, the locking range for this Dominix is 87 kilometers. The hound can only lock at 68 kilometers. So I mean, it'd be useful for you to see once it's locked up to see what happens again. So it's going to take 3 minutes before I can cycle, as you can tell. It's going to make me wait the full 2 minutes. So rather than make you wait 2 minutes to show this off again, and that was a kind of a cool graphic effect. Let's go ahead and just pause this for a second. Okay, so here we're going to now demonstrate the large Microjump drive. We already demonstrated the movement of all the resists to the 60% explosive, and I'm going to be moving in the direction of the Hound, and we're going to go ahead and activate a large micro jump drive again. Notice they're both locked. They've both locked each other up. So there is probably about a 12-second timer, and then we move ahead 100 kilometers. And notice I still have him locked up, he still has me locked up. So this is just an instant 100-kilometer transition. Everyone's still locked up. So if you had a point before and you can still point after, then the point's still there, and they could still have the point on you. So that's the large micro jump drive. Now, of course, no demonstration would be completely finished if we didn't have something blown up. So let's go ahead. Alright, so we've got a Dominix and the Hound, and they've got a couple bubbles set up for target practice, and we're going to head and blow them up with our bouncers. So here are the bouncers, optimal range 156.5 kilometers. So, we're pretty close to that right now, 158 kilometers. And I've got the Hound down there in the bubble, and he's going to be orbiting, of course. Orbit nice and tight with his afterburner on, so anyhow, this should be pretty interesting. So we should be able to, let's see. Okay, so we're about optimal. We should be able to target both of those. Now that we have, we've got a sensor booster 2 and a signal booster 2 as well. Okay, so the Hound is going about 700 meters a second, 650 meters a second, so that's going to be a nice target there. And then of course we have this bubble right next to us. So let's go ahead and try out the bouncers. And so let's see, let's just try it on the Hound first, just because it's moving pretty quick. And alright, so 600 kilometers, 600 meters a second, and they track pretty good at 156 kilometers. So now the bouncers are on the warp disruptor. It kind of makes you wonder how well they'll track the pod, huh? It's a lot smaller, but than a frigate, but okay. Might as well try it, huh? Kind of half don't want to, because I'm not quite sure where the medical clone is. I don't necessarily want to do a lot of jumps here. So maybe we'll save that for a little bit later. Okay, so burning through the medium warp disruptor pretty quickly. Pretty strong hits from these bouncer 2s at 155 kilometers. And chewing through it pretty nicely. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that they insta-pop the capsule. So rather than try that, we'll leave that as a exercise for you. Alright, so there it goes down. Now for the one that's next to us, I'm gonna try out the curators. There we go. So this is at about 7 kilometers, and of course it's not moving. But as you saw, if Hound is moving 600 meters a second, and that was afterburner, so it didn't have any signature blow up there. It seemed to track that pretty easily. Alright, so the curators are making pretty short work of the warp disruptors. I did just want to give you an idea what these warp disruptors look like. Let's see. We've got 15,000 armor hit points we're burning through pretty quickly. 10,000 shield have already melted. And then the structure's at 30,000 So that's like twice the amount of armor. So it'll take a few more seconds for that. Alright. I guess the last thing to try out is the I'm going to actually stop them from doing that just to show you the large Microjump drive inside a bubble. So it does in fact work while you're inside a bubble. We're aligned to the station, and what we're going to do is just activate it. It's about 12 seconds. Yep, that's about 12 seconds. We're out of the bubble. We're still at speed, and so we can instantly go into warp.
Warp drive active.
Alright, so there you have it. Pretty useful tool for getting out of bubbles. Only works, of course, once every 3 minutes. It takes about 12 seconds before it can actually engage. And the only thing that can stop it is a warp scrambler. Not a warp disruptor, a warp scrambler. Which isn't so hard to have put on you by an interceptor. Those things are pretty quick, or by an air suit, which projects pretty far out. It can get out to some 20, maybe 30 kilometers with a warp scrambler, depending on overheating and faction modules and so forth. Alright, so there we go. I hope you enjoyed